The Red Viper lets you defeat Oblivion Remastered in any difficulty using only a poison that does 4 damage per second. Dagger and Shield are the primary weapons of choice, as well as various schools of magic, which we're going to get into throughout the video. This video is going to go through the build and different strategies to transform that 4 damage per second poison into something that can do thousands of damage in seconds. Let's start with race and skill selections. Starting with race, I recommend Breton because of the 50-point boost to magicka, as well as the 50% resistance to magic. We're going to use a lot of magicka, which means having more magicka is better, but the dagger also forces us to be in close proximity to enemies at times, which can make us susceptible to physical and damage attacks. For that reason, 50% resistance to magic is going to help a lot, especially on anything Journeyman difficulty and above. For Sign, I'm going to go with Lord to get a 15% boost to shield rating and magical resistance. Mage is also okay for the added magicka, but if you do Mage, I suggest you focus on adding more endurance points earlier on. For Specialization, most of our majors will be magic, so I'm going to go with magic for a 5-point boost to those magic majors. For preferred attributes, I'm going to go Intelligence and Endurance, as increasing magicka pool and health early on will be a priority. Speed on the Breton is also quite slow, so when I level up, I'll be balancing points to Intelligence, Endurance, and Speed, with some points also allocated to Willpower here and there. But those 3 will be the priority at the beginning. For major skills, Destruction is going to be key for poison weakness and magic stacking. Illusion will give us access to paralysis and invisibility spells at level 50, which make a big difference in terms of letting us get hit a lot less. Restoration is going to help with fortify skills, fortify attributes, as well as heals. Alchemy will be the primary means of making gold and making potions and poisons to make our character stronger. Alteration will give us early access to feather spells to increase speed and different shield effects, which we can use to further enhance defenses. Mysticism will be for early access to the Soul Trap spell, and it can also be used to further augment magical defenses via spell absorption spells if needed, but I don't think we need a lot of that if we picked Breton and the Lord sign. Lastly, I picked Athletics to boost our speed, but other picks like Acrobatics and Light Armor can work here as well. Moving on now to early game strategy. Making money quickly is the priority right after the sewers, as well as unlocking an enchantment altar and spell making altar. Best path to doing this is reaching Frostcrag Spire up in the mountains by Bruma. If you hit up the 7 locations shown on the map, you're going to find a lot of fruits and vegetables which can be used to create restore fatigue potions that you can sell early on. Hitting up these 7 farms right after the sewers should help you make about 10,000, 12,000 in gold to get you started, which is plenty to buy both of the upgrades you need at Frostcrag Spire in the enchantment altar and spellmaking altar. At the Mystic Emporium, the first 3 spells that I want to purchase here are Weakness to Poison, Weakness to Fire, and the Apprentice level Night Eye spell. Using Night Eye as a buff is just going to help you level up Illusion even quicker. At Edgar's discount spells, you can purchase Feather, which is going to help you with increasing inventory space and therefore your speed. It's also going to help if you're carrying a lot of alchemy ingredients and just having a little bit of extra inventory space to work with. From Coral Mages Guild, buy the Soul Trap spell from Albrecht Little. And at the Breville Chapel, you want to buy Fortify Speed from the Priestess. Once we have the effects, gather some soul gems to use for enchanting. The Arcane University lobby cabinet has 2 Grand Soul Gems that are filled with Grand Souls and 1 empty Grand Soul Gem. The cabinets around Coral Mages Guild will have a bunch of Greater Soul Gems and 1 empty Grand Soul Gem. If you have Soul Trap unlocked, you can use the 3 empty Grand Soul Gems to create Black Soul Gems, and then use the Black Soul Gems to get yourself 3 additional Grand Souls. There's a Black Soul Gems tutorial that I've linked in the description below that explains this process in detail, but basically what you need to do to create them is put the empty Grand Soul Gems in a Necromancer altar on a Shade of the Revenant day. These special days happen every 8 in-game days, starting on day 1, and once you create a Black Soul Gem, you can fill it with a Grand Soul by killing bandits right away at Vilverin or any other dungeon with humanoid enemies. That should leave you with 5 Grand Souls, which you can use to create really powerful enchantments on your gear early on. For my first enchanted dagger, I'm going to add 10 points of fire damage on strike, as well as Soul Trap on strike, both for 1 second. I don't plan on using this dagger for long, so using a Greater Soul Gem is fine here. At the spellmaking altar, I'm going to make a spell that has 100% weakness to fire and 100% weakness to poison for 3 seconds and make it a targeted spell. The attack combo early on will simply be hitting the enemy with the spell from afar, and then hitting them with the dagger, which will do whatever damage enchantment you put on it times 2, and also do times 2 on any poison damage that you use. It's probably a good idea to add a calm spell as well to calm enemies up to level 5 on there for 2 seconds, just to help you take less damage when you're coming in for the hit with the dagger. Early in the game, the easiest damage poison to make is damage health. You can make these by collecting Sacred Lotus from the little pools around Imperial City and combining it with Nightshade, which can be found in large quantities west of Breville or northeast of Kvatch. For speed and shield, create a feather spell that adds 100 points for 30 seconds and throw in a shield effect as well to help you take less physical damage. This buff is also going to help you with leveling alteration. Another good one for speed is creating a custom spell speed using the Fortify attribute effect. You can tweak this however you like, but I prefer more speed and lower duration. On my shield, I'm going to add shield. Greater Soul is fine here as well. Gonna get hit inevitably, so I just want to get that shield rating up early on, especially when my character's health is extremely low, just to be able to take a little bit more abuse from physical attacks. And then for magicka sustainability, just be sure to have a couple of potions to help you restore magicka, or you can make your own. It's much easier to make your own when you reach Alchemy level 100, as all you're gonna need is Steel Blue and Toloma Cap, and you can find a bunch of those around Lindai Dungeon, where you see the T on the map here. This area is going to have around 100 samples, which you can collect in a matter of minutes. So with one trip here, you'll be able to make about 200 potions to restore magicka. Steel Blue and Toloma can also help with creating fire damage poisons, so it's a pretty versatile ingredient and definitely one that I use a lot in this build. The first place I always recommend hitting up is Bilverin. Good place to farm Welkin stones, and it's going to help you a lot with magicka sustainability early on, as you can use one of these to fully replenish your magicka. When you feel you're in a good place with potions and Welkin stones for magicka sustainability, Fatback Cave near Imperial City is another good place to hit up to farm Wisp Stock Caps as a base for future damage health poisons. In general, most caves you visit is going to have a bunch of these, so just keep an eye out for them and grab them whenever you have a chance. For trainers, I recommend focusing on paying for illusion training at every level. Illusion level 50 unlocks a lot of useful effects like invisibility and paralysis, which really help augment your ability to do big damage without taking a lot of damage. Paralysis in particular is a pretty expensive effect, so getting those illusion points up early on is going to let you use the paralysis effect without draining all of your magicka pool. When you hit Destruction level 50, purchase the Weakness to Magic spell from Mystic Emporium. And at Illusion level 50, go unlock the Silence, Paralysis, and Invisibility effects by purchasing them from Ida Riena's at the Breville Mages Guild. Once you have all of these spells, you're ready to do a lot of damage. So first spell I'm going to make is going to have 100% weakness to fire, poison, and magic for 3 seconds, and it's going to add invisibility to self for 3 seconds, and I'm going to make this one add range. I'm also going to create a new enchanted dagger, which has 100% weakness to magic for 2 seconds, 5 points of fire damage on strike, Soul Trap on strike for 2 seconds, and silence for 2 seconds. You don't need silence, I include that personal preference just to keep magical dealing enemies from being able to heal or summon other monsters. I'm going to make a second spell here as well, which really serves the same purpose as that spell with 100% weakness to fire, poison, and magic, but it's going to be a little bit different. I'm going to make this one to be for touch range, and I'm going to include paralysis on it. So this one's going to be 100% weakness to fire, 100% weakness to poison, and 100% weakness to magic. Touch spell for 3 seconds, and paralysis effect for 1 second with a 10-foot radius, also on touch. This one ends up being an illusion spell just because the paralysis piece of it is so expensive. So if you alternate between this one and the other one that was targeted, you can keep leveling illusion and destruction in tandem. The paralysis one works exceptionally well in most situations, especially ones when you're outnumbered. Where it falls short is against undead enemies because they're immune to paralysis. For a lot of undead enemies, the range spell will continue to be a better bet, as invisibility is going to keep you safe from getting hit at all. Or you can stick with the calm spell from earlier, as long as the spell is meant for enemies of that level. Even though you probably don't need it, if you want to carry some shield potions, you can easily make those with tomatoes and potatoes, which are, you can find a bunch of those in those 7 farms that I mentioned earlier. And if you combine them with other easy to find ingredients like flaxseed, summer bullet cap, you'll be able to make shield potions with apprentice level equipment at alchemy level 100. As one single shield potion can give you a further boost of 24% to shield for 88 seconds. So it never hurts to have these on hand, but again, you probably won't need it, especially once you're at Destruction level 50 and Illusion level 50. To keep our enchantments recharged, get the Azura Star at level 2. This is going to help a lot with keeping enchanted weapons charged, as it's going to function as a never-ending soul gem where you can keep trapping enemy souls and recharging your weapon. So if you have this thing, in theory, you should never be in a position where you're running out of charge on the weapon, especially if you have additional grand soul gems in your inventory. Those become a lot easier to find later on, but still, it's a good item to have on hand, I think. Going to the middle innings of the game, I would just continue to focus on making some gold and adding more fortify magicka enchantments to my gear. I actually don't really purchase any armors or go out of my way to find any gears. I'm just enchanting my whole thing from the beginning of the game using this shirt and black pants that I found at that Build Brain dungeon early on. If you add fortify magicka to your jewelry, each enchanted item with a grand soul is going to give you an additional boost of 24 points to magicka. So 5 of these enchanted armors and all the bonuses from earlier, you're going to end up at 300 magicka pretty easy. Beyond that, there's not much else to tweak other than just trying to keep upgrading alchemy equipment as you level up so that your potions and poisons are even stronger, and maybe trying to produce poison damage with multiple effects if you wanted to. Like I said earlier, if you want to stick with the 4 damage per second poison, you can stack higher numbers by using the stun, getting a few dagger hits, and then hitting with the debuff spell one more time. If you do spell, 4 dagger hits when they're stunned, and 1 more debuff stun, you're going to stack weakness to poison and weakness to magic to around 900%, and pretty much anything you hit in the game on any level will die in 1 second, regardless of difficulty. Now you can make this a lot easier on yourself by using stronger poisons to begin with, because you're going to have to stack the damages less. So as an example, at alchemy level 100 in a full set of expert alchemy equipment, getting a poison that combines fire poison damage and damage health can yield about 15 poison damage per second. So now if you do a stack that does 200% weakness to poison, 200% weakness to fire, and 200% weakness to magic, you're going to be able to kill most enemies in 2 seconds, and you're going to have a much easier time stacking the damage to those levels. There's also a way to combine fire damage, shock damage, and damage health, which I look at in my alchemy tutorial video that I've linked to below. And stacking damage with this makes it possible to do billions of damage in seconds. When you're using that poison, simply applying 1 weakness to poison or 200% weakness to poison, fire, shock, and magic is going to pretty much kill anything you face in a second or 2. So a very easy way to beat the game on master difficulty. You can find expert level alchemy equipment as random loot at Conjurer or Necromancer dungeons as early as level 13. UESP also has a list of Conjurer dungeons and Necromancer dungeons, which I've linked to in the description below. There's a 10% chance that a regular chest will have some piece of alchemy equipment, not necessarily expert, and the boss chests have a 25% chance, which is what makes Echo Cave, one of the caves you do later in the the Mages Guild questline, a pretty good one to farm this kind of equipment. That's basically the build. Like I said, I think this works on any difficulty, given the fact that poison damage isn't reduced the way magical damage is, even on master difficulty. The only thing I really don't like about poison builds is the fact that every time you want to use a poison, you have to acknowledge this confirmation window, so it just kind of throws off the combat a little bit, like it doesn't feel fluid. But I mean, outside of that, this thing does insane amounts of damage, so if you can live with clicking the little confirmation window, put the poison as a hotkey, the damage numbers really speak for themselves. Hope you enjoyed the build. If you want a deeper dive on how poison damage stacking works and the optimal way to do it, check out my alchemy tutorial, as there's a whole chapter dedicated to that, as well as how you can farm those poisons with 3 different damage effects that I mentioned earlier. Ciao for now.